All right, what up, Who That Nation? Back at y'all again with another episode. You know what I'm saying? We got my dog BryanTNR in the building. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole lot to talk about, fam. Man,
Man,
no cap, no
yeah,
filter Saints. I'm your host, Marley G. We got Brian in the building, man. Let's go ahead on and just get into it, man. First of all, when you gonna learn your lesson, B? You got your Twitter suspended again, bro. Oh, why you
man, I be trying, bro. I be trying, man. I really do, bro. I be trying to chill out, man. But like people, man, like I always say this, bro. People use Twitter and social media to talk to you how they wouldn't talk to you. And I think a lot of that come from the fact that sometimes I forget that be kids on there. You know what I'm saying? Like the last two, three people that can call themselves, you know what I'm saying, talking reckless. I'm looking up, man. These kids are like 19, 20 years old, man. Young, dumb, eager to die, brother. It's crazy that they have this, crash out mentality, bro. But, that's just a sign of the times. I got kids around their age, man. So I know what it is. The difference between them and mine is that, mine know not to play with me like that.
right? And as we get older, they just gonna get younger as we on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah,
So
facts. So my wife told me, she said, man, she said, you do this shit all the time. Like, when you gonna stop?
I think I asked you this before, but I think I asked you like how many accounts that you had got suspended. I think it was like 15, and like if you just never got suspended, you just had one account, how much your following would have been right now. And like it's just
Oh,
crazy because
man.
you would have probably damn sure been like the most popular Saints fan.
I probably would have had about, man, 30, 40K, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's, me humbly speaking on that, bro. Because I mean, to say I've had 15, 16 accounts, and man, like I feel like I made history because I might be the only person to ever get his account suspended twice permanently, like the same exact account, man. But that being said, bro, I might have about 56, about 30, 40, thousand or whatever like that, man. Humbly speaking. And that's because through 15 accounts, the same people like yourself, bro, y'all still rock with me, man. So I mean, ain't no telling where to be right now.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
You looking like the Charleston White of Saints Twitter, bro. You got a message and you got some gems, but you say some off the wall stuff. And I don't know if that's the method to your madness or what, but you know what I'm saying. People still
It's
gonna still follow them new accounts regardless.
it's unfiltered, bro. I think I think, man, in the world in general, bro, we've gotten so far away from people being able to tell you the truth. They're like, you got to either sugarcoat it or you got to lie to somebody, man. And I'm still just like, maybe I'm a little stuck in my ways. Maybe I refuse to conform. Maybe it's my DNA, bro. I don't know what it is, man. But I just refuse to I refuse to like cut it. I got to tell you how it is, like it is. And don't get me wrong. To be fair, I could say it with a little more tact. But if I got something to say, I say it. How it come out, man. We could discuss afterwards.
Right. Well, let's go ahead on and get into this Saints news, man. Well, we got a lot to talk about, a whole lot, but I'm gonna go ahead on and talk about the signing of Gate. How do you feel about the signing of Gate? You know, he got some championship pedigree dealing with the Chiefs or whatnot, but we just have signed a guy like that with Colin Saunders, and he was a little bit of a disappointment to me. But with Gate, we got some depth in the back, the linebacker corps that's much needed. How do you feel about the signing?
I don't hate it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a good signing, but it's all going to depend on how they use him. If they're going to make him strictly a strong side linebacker, you're not really playing to his strengths. He's a dude that can fly all over the field. So basically, man, you got to kind of let him be kind of like DeMario Light. Let him do what he do. You know what I'm saying? Pete Warner don't stay healthy very much. So, you can always plug him and play him. If Pete kind of go down or something like that and you lost Zach Vaughn, so you lost a pure pass rusher. So I mean, in this regard, man, just turn him loose and let him do what he do. Don't try to put him in a cage and try to make him, what I'm saying, like just a 4-3 linebacker. Let that man go out there, let him rover, let him do whatever he got to do. Let him play some strong, some weak, some middle linebacker. And I also think if he plays well enough, he can parlay that into a starting job. I know the Saints gave DeMario an extension, but that extension is pretty much, a 2-year extension. But let's be real, they can cut DeMario next year if they want to. And if Willie Gay play well enough, you slide him in a space for DeMario. Now you got your DeMario all over again, and a guy like Willie Gay.
So they play the same positions at linebacker?
They can. He can play all three linebacker spots. I think he's better suited to be in the middle. But I mean, that we got somebody there who's solid. But should there be any drop off, you got him as a backup, and you can play him in different positions in the meantime.
Yeah, they were saying that he could even be a big help to mobile quarterbacks, but we just let go of Zach Bond, who we all thought could have been a big help with the mobile quarterbacks, but like you said, they didn't play him right.
Now, I mean, it's kind of crazy that for a dude that knows defense, and for as much as I hate Dennis Allen as a head coach, as a defensive coordinator, the man know his business. I can't understand for the life of me why it took him so long to figure out Zach Bond was a pass rusher. Like, it's not like you didn't have a whole bunch of college film on him that told you that. And it's not like you couldn't see it when you actually let him play in the games that, that's what he was best suited at. And now that you've given him the opportunity, a team like Philly come and say, you know what, we know exactly what you can do and how we're going to use you. Gotcha. Let's go. Like sometimes, man, it's crazy to try to reinvent the wheel when everything working well. And that's what Dennis Allen tried to do with Zach Bond and it didn't work out.
Hmm. All right. So on the offensive side of the ball, we signed Nathan Peterson. I guess he's going to come up in here and compete with Jake Haener. A lot of people feel like it's a protection of Derek Carr. Some people feel like we had another, we had a whole lot of list of guys that we could have signed, like Huntley. We could have went with maybe Wentz. We could have went with maybe Tannehill. Like, what do you think about the signing?
I think it's exactly what you said, bro. I think this is all about protecting Derek Carr. You can't have another Jameis situation for Derek Carr. For as much as he may have known Dennis Allen wasn't going to bench him, he also knew the entire fan base was in favor of Jameis. So you have to bring in somebody that's not a threat to Derek Carr, as well as somebody that you can try to pass off as a credible backup. Now, do I think Nathan Peterman is a credible backup? Hell no. I think like I said, he's a comfort zone for Derek Carr. You let him compete with Jake Haener, who's also a comfort zone for Derek Carr, and maybe you draft another quarterback. I don't think they're done at the QB spot just yet. But at this point, man, I mean, it's all about protecting Derek Carr. If you're going to give him 150 mil, go get an offensive coordinator to build the offense around him and basically have Dennis Allen coddle him the entire time, you might as well go get yourself a borderline, Mr. Irrelevant draft pick type of quarterback to put behind Derek Carr because you're not going to get somebody credible. You can't get a Carson Wentz. You can't get a Jimmy G. You can't get a Ryan Tannehill because all of those dudes would be threats to him. You got to get somebody who Derek Carr does not fear being behind him and that the fan base can't clamor for.
Yeah. Do you feel like Derek Carr himself had a hand in that?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. If you look at this entire offseason, everything that's been done has been done to pacify Derek Carr. You getting rid of everybody who Derek Carr had a problem with. If Marshawn had a problem with it or spoke out, because that's Mike, that's Mike guy, the Ohio State guys and stuff like that, gone. Mike, gone. You look at some of the other situations, the coaching staff. Ronald Curry was a guy who they should have kept on the staff, but they tried to give him a demotion and act like that was going to pass. Now he's gone. So anything and everything has been centered around making Derek Carr as comfortable as possible. So Dennis Allen is basically pushing all his chips in the middle of the table and say, "I'm gonna roll with Derek," kind of like he did with Andy Dalton last year. We saw how with the year before. I'm sorry, we saw how that ended, and I think it's going to end the exact same way for him because you basically replaced Andy Dalton with Andy Dalton, except you gave him 150 million.
Mm. Yeah, man, that's that's crazy. Like everybody's seeing the move. A lot of people coming up with a lot of conspiracy theories about it, and I feel like it's warranted, man. Like exactly what you're saying. They just doing it to comfort Derek Carr and make sure his job is secure, and nobody needs to be clamoring for QB number 2. But I feel like they're still clamoring for Jake Haener. Me, I would, you know.
I think this got a real tendency to, a real probability to blow up in Dennis Allen's face. And I think the problem with that is you went and got Clint Kubiak and you're basically putting him on the line for a 1 year job. So he's got 1 year to turn the offense around. Otherwise, Clint Kubiak is the fall guy. And unfortunately for him, I really think way too many people, and maybe even including the Saints, are trying to do this him of his garment type of thing when it comes to, Clint Kubiak. Well, because he was around, you know, Kyle Shanahan, then all of a sudden he must have just absorbed, all of the energy from Kyle Shanahan. He gonna come in and turn the Saints around. But Clint Kubiak is not Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best play callers in this game. So I mean, you can't just be around greatness and all of a sudden absorb it. That's not how it works. Either you are, and it'll help you pull your talent out, or you not, and you basically almost like Bill Belichick assistants. All of them was around greatness for the longest time. None of them have been able to produce on a high level except for Mike Vrabel. And that's again, if you have talent, then maybe being around greatness will help you pull it out. If you don't, then you become like Romeo Crennel, Josh McDaniels, and Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, I say the same thing about Pete Carmichael. Was around Sean Payton for all them years. Probably had like 2 interviews.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, I've said this before. If you ever listen to Pete Carmichael talk, he ain't exactly somebody you want to stand in front of the podium calling him a head coach.
Right.
You can
Exactly.
see it clear as day.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead on and get to Michael Thomas, man. Like when this story had broke, I tried to get the interview with you. I tried to get the interview with you ASAP, so get your thoughts on it. But you know, it's kind of like past tense now. But at the end of the day, Mike is gone. He basically said that Dennis Allen is a loser. Maybe was calling Carr a loser too. He got his feelings off his chest about Carr. You know, possibly throwing him a injury ball. Um, and he was just basically saying that he's not a yes man.
Yeah, I think again, this is all in favor of Derek Carr because Mike had a problem with Derek Carr. He was public about it, and Dennis Allen didn't like it. And when you a guy like Mike, who you know is on a 1 year deal, you really don't really care what you say. That's kind of like why I feel like Jameis made the play that he made. Jameis did that not because Jameis was a bad teammate. He did it because he was a great teammate, but he also did it because he knew he was leaving. Same thing with Mike. There's not like Mike told you that, when he was tweeting, he was like, man, I got money. So if I never get another job in the NFL again, I'm still set financially. So now I can say whatever I need to. And believe me, Mike said what he felt like he had to because he called it for what it is. Dennis Allen is a guy who's never had a win, who's never won outside of Sean Payton. So in that regard, you are a loser. You have not proven yourself just yet. Derek Carr, 10 years in the NFL, has never won a playoff game. You are a loser until otherwise proven. So for Mike to call them what they are, that's exactly what it is. And on his way going out, I kind of felt like it was a sucker move by the Saints to even give that story to Jeff Duncan because Jeff and Mike have their little beef. And the last thing Jeff Duncan need to be doing is calling anybody out because that man ain't got too many stories wrong for him to do it. And for God's sake, somebody need to check on that boy, like check his computer to make sure he ain't got child pornography on there. I say it and I ain't joking at all. Anytime a grown man at his age says he watches a movie and sees a 15-year-old girl inside in that movie, and he decides that something about that is attractive, that boy need to be checked on daily.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't
Yeah,
the right person to do that.
yeah. So when it comes to Mike and his future, like, do you think that he'll have a like baggage that'll like kind of like make a team look at him with a side eye? And like, what do you think by the way he left out? How you think it'll shift the locker room? Like when it comes to the younger players, like the way he left out.
As far as him, having a market or whatever like that, I still think Mike got a market. There ain't nothing about his talent. I think the injuries may have been a bigger concern than him running his mouth on Twitter or, whatever like that. Mike is talented, bro. And when he's healthy, he's good to go. And, the craziest part of that is he came back and was healthy until Derek Carr throws him a hospital ball. Now he's back out. I mean, you can call it injury prone if you want to, but I mean, we saw Rashid Shaheed go down. We saw Chris Olave go down. It's like Derek Carr had a tendency to throw, balls that, really could get you injured. So for Mike, I think Mike will be able to pass that off. He'll be able to, say I got my balls off on Derek Carr, but I don't think his market dried up because of that. Injuries are going to play a bigger factor in that. And if Odell can get a contract, 1 year, $18 million, I think it was from Baltimore, Michael I'm pretty certain he'll get a contract. Whether it'll be what he's looking for, maybe not, but he'll definitely get a contract. As far as the younger players in the locker room, I think that's kind of hit or miss. That depends on your current leadership. If guys like Tyrann Mathieu and Demario Davis, and maybe they can kind of help get the younger guys on the same page with Derek Carr now that Mike is gone. Because make no mistake about it, Derek Carr made his own issues with Rashid Shaheed, the way he threw the hospital balls. He made his own issues with Chris Olave when you tried to call him out publicly. So maybe him and A.T. Perry don't have anything going on at this point, so where you can kind of say that's a negative. But I would say that with Rashid and with Olave, he kind of made his bed that on his own. But they are two young guys. I think that can be forgiven because I think the whole end of season meeting that Mickey Loomis had was basically you either in or out. I think the reason why we see Olave still around and Rashid still around is because they are in. And I think they can kind of mend that fence with Derek because all it's going to take is for them to get a couple of touchdowns and everything's back to normal.
Going forward, where do you see Mike landing? Like a good spot for him? I think some good spots would be the Ravens, the Chargers. He'll be back home on the West Coast. Uh, Maybe a reunion with Joe Burrow. I think they was together at Ohio State. And the Chiefs. What do you think his best landing spot would be?
I mean, for Mike, it's got to be the Chiefs because you get to play with Pat Mahomes, man. They're automatically, considered, a Super Bowl contender. He just took less money, restructured his contract, I should say, so he can open up the cap for him. So, they basically kind of following the Saints method on that just so they can get some more help around there. So I would say Kansas City. The second choice I would make, Man, I might take Baltimore simply because if there's anybody that's a threat to Kansas City, it could be the Baltimore Ravens. And I think because they're trying to load up on weapons, they got King Henry over there now, and you can add Mike to the mix. That's physical players for a style of football that Baltimore wants to play along with Lamar. It wouldn't be a bad idea for him to go there. My third choice will be back on the West Coast. Not that I don't trust Jim Harbaugh. It's just the idea that I think it's going to take him a little while to, take that team to where Mike would want to go because he's kind of been, in the same situation in New Orleans for a while now. We're close, but not close enough to make it there.
Right. Yeah, man, that's some good destinations. I think that he could land. I'm rooting for the best for Mike. I'm not one of them fans that once you off the team, I just don't care for you. Like certain people, I just feel like, yeah, man, I'm gonna fuck with him no matter where he goes.
Yeah,
Jameis, MT, like certain guys. Even if they was to go to the Cowboys, I wouldn't want him team success, but I would want him individual success.
yeah,
You know,
I agree,
so
100%. I agree.
yeah, bro. So man, I appreciate everything Mike did for the city. I appreciate everything he did for the team. And on his way out, I'm glad that he outed a lot of the dirty laundry. Like some fans, they don't like it. Me, I do because I just don't like this regime.
Same here. Same here. I got no problem with what he did, man. I think way too many people, I've seen like, prominent figures in the sports media down talking Mike like, oh my God, he's a cancer. I'm so glad that he's gone. And I'm like, I sometimes I really scratch my head and wonder, like, what the hell did you think he was gonna do? Like, it's almost like everybody wants you to follow a certain path. And I think that's what gets me in trouble a lot. I go against the grain a lot. And it seems like anytime you do go against the grain, people have a problem with you because you're supposed to do it this way. No, the hell I'm not. I'm an individual. I am a human. If I feel like you slap me and I slap you back instead of calling 911, then that's just how I handled it. Like you can't hit me and tell me how to react to you hitting me. And I think that's the problem with people when it comes to guys like Michael Thomas. You want them to be offended and handle it the way you see fit instead of the way they deem. And I think that's a big issue, especially locally with the local media, because, for lack of a better way of saying it, a lot of our local media just don't happen to share our skin color. So when they look at us when we do something, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Well, why not? Because you wouldn't have did it that way? Because your ancestors wouldn't have did it that way? Because last time I checked, there was an entire country stolen by a certain group of people, and I ain't gonna say who it was.
Mm. Well, when you say the Chiefs, they did actually just picked up Hollywood Brown today. So him, Rice, Kelsey, that'll be a nice trio right there. If you add Mike into the fold, that'll be deadly.
Yeah, and I think Mike is gonna be able to make his money simply because he can always be, if nothing else, a possession receiver. And
Mm-hmm.
his catch radius is still elite. He still can get open even if it is on slants and posts and stuff like that. And he's physical, so you can use him as a goal line threat as well. So I think Mike is gonna have a market, man. I think people that think his demise is out there is sadly mistaken. I think Mike got another 2 3 years that he can play at a higher level. After that, we might see a drop off. I think he's like 30 now. I'll give him to 33, especially because the injuries have actually may have helped him a little bit, so he doesn't have to take that many hits on his body.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope he could do like a little Anquan Bolden type of year and just help a team out and get to that Super Bowl or whatever. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm gonna go ahead on and get to Jameis Winston. We finally, cut ties with Jameis
Mhm.
Winston, and he's off to the Browns, man. What do you make of that situation? And about the whole Derek Carr being comfortable thing. We seen Jameis Winston in the public eye a lot, in the community a lot. Do you think that was genuinely Jameis, or do you think that was a little bit of PR to be like just make Dennis Allen and Derek Carr look even worse assholes than they are?
I think the lanyard in it was the idea that Jameis was in the community and makes Derek Carr and Dennis Allen look bad. But I think that's Jameis, man. Like Jameis from what Bessemer, Alabama, man. So that ain't too far. That's probably if I'm not mistaken, it's probably about 4 hours from here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably about 4 hours from New Orleans, man. So with that being said, bro, it's real easy for you to travel down. You know about Mardi Gras. You know about how the city get down for Essence and all these other things. I think that's just James being James because whenever you saw him, he genuinely was just having a good time. It's just like it's not like he broadcasted. I'm gonna be out there for Mardi Gras on St. Charles and St. Charles and the Rattle. Y'all come see me. That's not who he was. It just so happens he was out there. And you got pictures with him. So I mean, for me, I think that's genuinely Jameis, man. Him going to Cleveland I think was a brilliant move. Deshaun Watson has been injury prone. He hasn't really looked good since coming back off of the suspension in the year off. So I mean, it's a good look for him. And if he can get out there and do what Joe Flacco did, he might have a starting job,
Mm-hmm. You don't think
even if not in Cleveland.
You don't think it could have been better for him like this to go somewhere where he really like could have had a better chance to start off rip, or you think he should just go ahead on and try to do the best he can to get that ring with a Super Bowl ready team right now in the Cleveland Browns?
They gave him 1 year, almost 9 mil. I don't think he was going to get that anywhere else, even as an opportunity to start, because everybody else knows this. This is first of all the free agent class for quarterbacks. It was a deep one. So even if you wanted to sign a mediocre quarterback like a Gardner Minshew or somebody like that, because I think Jameis has talent. I don't think he's mediocre. I think he hasn't shown his ability, in true form just yet. But I think he has a lot of talent. But you look at a Gardner Minshew, you look at some of the other quarterbacks that we named earlier, that are out there. I think Jameis was probably the best in that bunch. So you go to Cleveland, you get a chance to start or whatever like that, man, because you got to assume at some point, because of the way he plays, either by benching him or by recklessness because he out there running around, that he could possibly go down. That's not something Jameis does a lot of. That being said, I don't really know if there were a lot of opportunities. With you talking about potentially 6 quarterbacks being taken in the first round this year in the draft. So I don't really know if he had a true opportunity to just be like, if I go here, I'm automatically gonna start. I don't think he had that.
Hmm. Good point. Good point. Well, I know one thing. That community in Cleveland, I think they're going to love Jameis. I think that he's going to embrace the city, and I just think that he's going to get his chance if Messiah Watson actually suffers an injury. But we'll see, man. I'm rooting for Jameis though, man. Good luck to him. But let's go ahead on and talk about Clint Kubiak, man. Like I said it before, I felt like Clint Kubiak, he was probably the best choice out of all the offensive coordinators. So kudos to the Saints for getting him. But I feel like he just gonna be, Rams on a minivan. I feel like he's gonna be, hot sauce on sardines. He's gonna be the sausage and eggs and the ramen noodles. Is it an upgrade? Is it better? Yes, but that's not saying much because anybody would have been an upgrade over Pete Carmichael. But at the end of the day, it's still sardines and still ramen noodles and it's still a minivan. And I feel like all that because of who the trigger man is and who the head man is. So how do you feel about Clint Kubiak and what do you think that he could bring to this offense with the weapons that we do have with the older veterans such as Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, and even the young guys like Kendrick Miller and Olave and Rashid Shaheed?
Well, I hope what he brings, because I'm gonna be honest with you. What I saw from him when he called plays in Minnesota, I wasn't that impressed with. But when he did call plays in Minnesota, it was very. I'm not gonna call it a basic offense, but it was an offense that fits what Dennis Allen wants to run. It was basically a conservative offense, and it wasn't a lot of shots down the field and stuff like that. It was basically like we're gonna basically almost like what they used to call matriculate the ball down the field. So we're gonna take our time and get down there. We're gonna basically play, smart. It's kind of remind you of Dennis Allen, the person. There's not a lot of sizzle to it. It's just a lot of just basic substance. It's like it's nothing that's gonna wow you, but it's effective. So what I'm assuming they're gonna do is try to play smash mouth football, good defense behind that, and if they win a game 24-20, they content with that. And I think that's the style of play that we'll see coming out of Clint Kubiak. He's just going to be a guy that can design the offense that should work efficiently enough for them to score 24 points. Now, will that actually happen, considering that Derek Carr has seemed to only see one side of the field? Will that seem to happen when Dennis Allen is, basically, can overrule something? I think it's going to depend on Dennis Allen. If you allow Clint Kubiak to coach the offense and you coach the defense, you might be able to find some success. If you try to step in and all of a sudden, grow a brain and think you can call offensive plays or try to overrule offensive play calling, then you say, why did you bring him in if that's what you're going to do? He has to take a book from Sean Payton, if you will. When Sean Payton hired Greg Williams, he said, look, I don't know a damn thing about defense. I'm going to let you do what you got to do in order to run that defense the way you need to. And it was successful. When Sean Payton got in trouble was the Rob Ryan scheme. When he wanted to try to, tell Rob Ryan, I know how to coach defense too. Why you're not calling these plays? Well, that's when you get yourself in trouble. When Dennis Allen came back into the fold, Sean Payton was a little bit easier. He let Dennis do what he was doing. Success all over again. If Dennis Allen steps back and allows Clint Kubiak to coach the offense, play that boring ass style of football y'all want to play, but if you're winning 24-20, you still winning.
But I know Clint Kubiak isn't Kyle Shanahan, but they're gonna run a similar offense. And if this offense is quarterback friendly, you know, doesn't that just guarantee, more success for a Derek Carr and like just put the ball in Alvin Kamara hands more and get him the best looks that he can more?
I mean, you would think that it would be that way. You would think it because it's a QB friendly offense, but there's a lot of QB friendly offenses, and you don't have the quarterback to run it. And I think that's the most important part. We're about to find out if Derek Carr has anything inside of him to be saved. And I think Clint Kubiak, you can't blame it on Pete Carmichael now. He gone. You can't blame it on nothing that happened with the Raiders. You're gonna be too far removed from that. Now you got an offense that's supposed to be built around you, and you still couldn't get it done. Oh, we about to find out. And I don't mean get it done on some, 17 of 20 passes or whatever like that for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't mean that. I mean he gonna have to actually be the leader of the team now. We're gonna find out one way or the other. He gonna sink or he gonna swim. But this is supposed to be the offense for him, and that's why they went and got Clint Kubiak. Let's see what happens next. Do I think Clint can make him a little more serviceable? Sure, I think so. Of course I do. I think if you kind of tighten the reins a little bit, you don't give him as many reads, you simplify the game plan a little bit, you can be a little bit more effective. I think the schedule should help out with that a little bit, but once it gets to the meat and potatoes, when they start playing the Phillies and stuff like that, and the Washingtons and these teams, they played the NFC East this year, and I want to say they played is it the
AFC
AFC South? AFC West, yeah. Because they got Denver, Kansas City. So I mean, when you start playing the Denvers and the Chargers and the Chiefs, that's when I'm gonna know who you are. It's gonna be easy for you to play to beat up on the NFC South. It's a weak division. Anybody can win it. Can you beat the good teams? And last year we saw the answer to that question was no.
But a lot of people logic is, okay, the ball is going to be in Alvin Kamara hands more, and we're going to utilize Jamal Williams better, like how we should have last year. And Kendrick Miller, he's just going to be that weapon that we're going to just unleash because he has the fresh legs. Like if they just utilize those guys more and open up plays, because I think Pete Carmichael offense, it was more so, yeah, go win this play versus this offense going to be, okay, we're going to scheme you open for this play. And all Derek Carr got to do is get the ball out quick. Like, shouldn't that guarantee at least some success with these harder teams?
Okay, well I'm gonna start with two parts, and this is gonna be the part of the interview where everybody gonna get pissed off at me. One, the Saints got to fix the offensive line before they can do anything. Because as long as you have to have the players who run the scheme they want to run. The Saints used to have an inside zone scheme. Now they have an outside zone scheme. You're gonna have to get these big boys on the outside a hell of a lot more. And right now, they don't have the talent to do so. So I think that's gonna be part one of it. Part two is, and this is where I'm gonna get in trouble. Alvin Kamara, 30 years old. Jamal Williams is older than that and was basically looked like he fell off a cliff last year because he wasn't nowhere near the player that we saw in Detroit. And of course, Kendra Miller is injury prone, and we haven't seen anything from him just yet to sit back and be like, yeah, Kendra Miller about to tear it up in the league. We've seen that from Tajay Spears. We ain't seen that from Kendra Miller yet. And he came into the league hurt. He was hurt his entire rookie year. Can that change? Of course it can. Can Jamal Williams kind of find his mojo all over again? It's possible, but he's a year removed. He's 2 years removed now from the 17 touchdown season and a year older in the NFL. Alvin Kamara came off the suspension last year, trying to find his groove and stuff like that. Never really got it, but he's still an old running back now. Old by NFL standards, not old by personally. So, is it possible? Sure. Taysom Hill, you could add him as a fourth running back. 34 years old. They took a lot of hits. So, I mean, we can sit down and say, yeah, sure, the Saints should be able to run the ball. But one, they got to fix the O-line or you ain't going to be running nothing. And two, are the guys that you have in the backfield, or, is Alvin Kamara set for, a downfall as a 30-year-old running back? Is Jamal Williams, was he better advertised than what we getting? And Kendra Miller, should they have taken Tajay Spears instead of Kendra Miller because you were worried about injuries, and all you've seen from Kendra so far is that he's injured? The Saints have a lot, and I mean a lot, to kind of answer this offseason, and I don't know if they have just yet, especially in the run game.
Well, what do you got to say about the folks who will just compare, AK to, Christian McCaffrey? Like Christian McCaffrey, he was bruised and beaten down there in South Carolina. And, he goes to the 49ers and, he has career years. Of course, like you say, he was behind that good old offensive line. And, Kyle Shanahan was calling things. But, as far as talent go, I feel like Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, they real similar as far as talent go. I feel like Alvin just has more balance, but I feel like Christian McCaffrey has more speed and burst, like with acceleration.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I feel like if we do get the O line right, I don't think Alvin Kamara is set for like a down year, even though he's 30. And then he's been splitting the backfield with Mark Ingram for a bulk of his career, and just other running backs for a bulk of his career, not taking a lot of carries like Christian McCaffrey. Now it just would be just sad. It just so happened when we get a new offensive coordinator, it just so happened, no injuries involved, but this just be the year that Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill just take a step back when it comes to their play.
I mean, personally, bro, I love AK. I hope that boy go out there, man, and rush for 2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns if he could. I just think that he's that good of a dude, and I want to see nothing but the best for him. But I also understand that this is the New Orleans Saints we're talking about. And the most Saints thing ever would be that the Saints get an offensive coordinator that is able to call the right type of plays. They're able to fix the O line to a degree in which you can run the ball successfully, and yet the running backs fall apart because Kendrick can't stay healthy. Jamal just don't understand what he's doing in the offense, and Alvin falls off a cliff for whatever reason. So I mean, that's just how the Saints roll. Now, do I expect that to happen like that? No, but I also think we have to keep that in mind because I think everybody's so optimistic every offseason. And we were optimistic last offseason. We were optimistic the season before that. Just because you go into the offseason feeling like everything should work doesn't mean that it will. And I think, again, I still haven't seen anything from the Saints just yet to let me know they fixed their issues. I personally wasn't good with the Rams, restructure. I think they should have just let him play out his last year and basically cut ties if you had to. We don't know how his knees are going to progress. They think it's going to be good enough for him to play. What happens if he plays and by week 6 his knees are blown? We don't know what's happening with that. And that's we're talking about your all-pro right tackle right there. Cesar Ruiz has never proven to me he can be anything more than a mediocre player. The only thing that he's been is healthy. Just because you're healthy and you have availability doesn't mean that trumps your talent, which I haven't seen from him yet. So the one offensive lineman you can count on is Eric McCoy. That's the one person you got. The left side of the line, you're still trying to figure out because you haven't re-signed Andres Pete and you don't know what the hell you have in Trevor Penning. At this point, you can tell me all day long that the Saints going to go out there, win 13 games and going to have the best rushing attack in the league. I got to see it happen because they got to fix the O-line first, and that's going to let me know what they can do as far as the running game is concerned.
What do you think they do with Penny?
I think they're going to try him at guard. I
Left
think they're
guard?
going to do it. Yeah, I think they're going to try him at guard. I think they're going to try to do the same thing that they did with Andres Pete. They're going to try to do with him. I think it might be good for him, but I don't know if he can make that transition. I mean, his biggest problem from what I've seen is getting bull rushed. Well, that's exactly what D tackle's going to do him straight up the middle anyway. And I think it's good if you want to have him as a run guard, getting up the field. But it's telling to me that last year he couldn't get on the field even in jumbo packages. So that's how little faith they had in him moving forward, that they wouldn't even put him in on jumbo packages. I barely saw him get on there on what's that extra point coverage. So it's like you got a first round pick that you don't even know what you got in it.
I think it was more so of him being in a doghouse than a talent thing. It probably was him not studying his plays on his iPad. I think we heard some leaks about certain young guys not going over their plays with the iPad. So maybe it could have been him in a doghouse. And I heard that Kendra Miller, he was in Dennis Allen doghouse as well. It wasn't more so him being hurt, But I don't know. We're gonna see. Do you think that Penning will be better off at right tackle or left guard if you had to choose?
If I had to, I would say I would put him inside. Put him inside. If you can protect him on one side with McCoy, and then you get a solidified left tackle on the other side, then you kind of hide him a little bit. Maybe if McCoy can kind of basically, kind of push his guy into Ruiz a little bit and chip on the inside guy to help Penning out, maybe you're lucky. Maybe Pete can do the same thing on his side if you resign a Pete or you get a good left tackle. I wouldn't mind seeing them go after a Tyron Smith man from the Cowboys or something like that to try to see if you can kind of put him in, draft you a guy later on that you can groom and kind of get him ready by the time Tyron ready to walk off. But I mean, I don't think Smith coming cheap at all. So I think the only way you can kind of help Penning is to basically put him in the inside and kind of protect him a little bit. You can't put him back outside and try to make him a left tackle. It's not gonna happen for him.
I think that's what's been hurting stunting McCoy's growth, always having to help somebody that was on
Mm-hmm.
the left of him or to the right of him. You remember when he had to help Cesar Ruiz? I think he was having to help when we had injuries at the left guard position. So I think that kind of been stunting his growth. Like I just want an offensive line where everybody could just hold their own.
Yeah, and I mean, look, McCoy is as good as it gets when it comes to center. I think the problem was the Saints tried too many things. They do the same thing all the time and expect a different result. Stop drafting players that have played center damn near their whole life and say, you know what, we're gonna make them a guard. Now it worked with Eric McCoy. Eric McCoy was mostly a guard, but he had the talent to play center. It's just the idea of you could have easily made that switch and put Cesar Ruiz at center, Eric McCoy at guard, and you would have been by now you might be solidified in that spot. Stop taking players that don't fit where they're supposed to. Stop taking a right tackle and trying to make him a left tackle. If he's played right tackle for 4 years of college football, stop trying to make him a damn left tackle. Let him play right tackle. If you see somebody that's a guard, don't convert him to a center. Let him play guard. That's what he used to. So sometimes I think too many coaches try to outthink the Roman, and you end up looking stupid because that's exactly what you did with Ruiz, and then you had to pay him. So you paid him because you was afraid to lose him. And I seen too many people saying this. And my God, look, I respect people's opinion. I don't really give a shit if they're right or wrong. But some of the shit just be wild. Stop telling me that the Saints did a good job of paying Ruiz early because guards are getting good money. That's a damn lie. The Saints did not do a good job of paying Ruiz early. Ruiz still ain't earned his money yet. So if you pay, if, you still ain't paying him and getting your money worth. So no, it didn't make sense for you to pay him that. And by now, you technically you could have let him walk this year. Because what has he given you that you can't say that I can use an upgrade there?
Well, hopefully the offensive lineman coach that Clint Kubrick brought in is better than Doug Marrone. But once again, that ain't gonna be saying much because I think Doug Marrone did an awful job. But we're gonna see, man. By Pete leaving, is it almost guaranteed we gotta go left guard? I mean, we gotta go left tackle at 14.
I think so, man. I think it's almost a clear cut conclusion. I think it depends on what they do in free agency. They still a lot of offensive tackles that are out there. So I think it depends on what they do in free agency. If they can sign a left tackle who's good enough for them to kind of, instead of drafting one at 14, you draft one at 45, then, cool. But the Saints need talent, man, and they need talent everywhere on offense, especially. So you think you can get, if you think, depending on how the draft unfolds, and of course, free agency still ain't over with either. But if you think you can get yourself a playmaker at 14 and then double back at 45 and get you somebody, man, then go for it. You got all those extra fifth round picks. If it means taking that 45th pick that you got and trying to add something with that and getting back into the first round, even if it's at, 29, 30, 31, 32, something like that, and then try to get back in the first round, maybe you can draft you a left tackle again right there too, and you don't have to give up as much ammo as you would if you wanted to get back in the draft without that. So maybe it's possible since you got that 45th pick that you can kind of move back into the late part of the first round. And I'm wondering what the Saints going to do with Marshawn. And I think that's going to be the linchpin of what they do aggressively in the draft or not. If they know they're going to trade Marshawn and they got damn near a second round pick waiting for them, I could definitely see them being aggressive in this draft, getting back into the first round and maybe get another left tackle or like drafting a Brock Bowers if he falls and then getting your left tackle later on.
Mm. Yeah, I think everybody waiting on to see what we do with Marshawn. I'm waiting on to see what they do with Taysom as well. But Marshawn, that's like the big fish that we all just wait to see what's going to happen because that's just like the Lego into the whole puzzle to me. I think if we trade him, we definitely not going to be nowhere near competitive as we was last year. Like you ain't gonna miss something until you're gone. And he just a generational cornerback. I think he's the best cornerback we ever had. But we're gonna see, bro. When it comes to free agency, we also signed Cedric Wilson. What do you think about that move?
Oh, my bad, bro. My
A lot
bad.
of people are saying that they like it as a sneaky good pick because he came from Miami and the offense was similar. Like, what do you think?
Look, man, the Saints need talent, and as much talent you can stack up, go for it. He's a guy that's familiar with the system, so I'm not mad at it. I just it's not a needle mover. And don't get me wrong, I knew that going into the offseason. I knew the Saints were going to sign anybody that was going to, kind of move the needle to be like, okay, I see what y'all doing. Now I'm going to give y'all a little bit of leeway. It's not that. Now, mind you, sometimes the Saints' best moves are the ones that don't have that flash to them. Jarvis Bird, flash move, ended up being horrible. Demario Davis, nobody really knew him coming from the Jets. Ended up being one of the best things they possibly did. Besides the Velma trade. So I mean, when they're talking about defensively, so I'm not mad at them making smart moves versus making the ones that have a splash. I still think they could have made one. They could have brought in somebody who would have been able to kind of give some semblance of hope, like, okay, y'all serious. Right now, I haven't seen anything to tell me that the Saints are truly serious. They've made shrewd moves. They haven't made anything to make me kind of be like, okay, it's moving the needle towards me believing that y'all actually have a chance.
Mm. Yeah, man. I said the same thing, bro. Like I can't remember our last splash free agent signing that we signed, and we just knew he was coming in with hype and he was gonna do his thing. He wouldn't, and he was in his prime. Like
Yeah,
I think the only time was Jerry's Bird because we didn't know Drew Brees was gonna be like that. We didn't know Demario was gonna be like that. We didn't know these guys was gonna be like that, and it just so happened to happen good for us. But like I say, man, we're gonna see, bro. We talked about the O line. Let's talk about the D line. We lost Malcolm Roach. I felt like he was probably our best interior defensive tackle. We had Brian Brzee. He was showing a lot of promise. He had a lot of flashes, but he sure had his little rookie moments. But as far as the veterans on the D line, I think Roach was better than Shepard and Sanders. How do you feel like that move is going to impact the D line?
it was already impacting them because they didn't have him. That's why the Saints' run defense looked so horrible last year, and I think that's going to continue until they can find somebody they can plug in there next to Brzee, and they kind of cause havoc in the middle to slow up that rush. And I think that's going to be a big problem for the Saints. They got to show up that line, the D line, especially in the middle with the run stuffer. Now, can you find one? You can find another Malcolm Roach. So it's almost like Zach Bond. Yeah, you finally found an opportunity to use him, and he played well. But you can find another Zach Bond. You can find another Malcolm Roach. Shy Tuttle was there. Then they used Malcolm Roach. So you'll find somebody, no doubt. They can find another undrafted free agent that's going to be able to plug and play because he's not going to be counted on to do everything that they need him to do on a D line. They just need him to do a job and do it well. Be a run stuffer, hold up some blocks, let Brazil, get upfield and go from there. And I think that depending on what they do with the move about Chase Young, if they can kind of make that happen, I still haven't seen. I don't know why nobody signed. I want to say Eric Armstead just yet. I'm still kind of wondering because he can play inside and outside. I'm curious, and he comes from San Francisco, so you would have thought that would have been a move that the Saints would have made by now, but they haven't made that one. So it's not going to surprise me to see them be able to kind of plug in a guy who can kind of help with the run defense. But it's definitely it's not a need, it's not a want. It is a mandatory must that they find somebody that can help them stop the run.
Yeah, bro. Because boy, this next year, ooh, the teams we play, Lord have mercy, boy. Bless
They
their
got
heart.
running backs, man. They got like the running backs that we playing this year is gonna be crazy.
When we
And we
play
can start with
Philly,
Atlanta.
whew, when we play Philly, boy, Lord have mercy.
You got to play
Yeah,
Saquon, Bijan Robinson. Who did the Chargers just get? It was it the Chargers. Somebody else just signed like one of the top running backs. And the Chargers lost Austin Eckler, so that might be what I'm thinking of. But I
uh,
know
yeah, Eckler, he went to the Commanders. We still play the Commanders.
somebody
Um,
who signed Josh. Green Bay didn't they sign Josh Jacobs from the
Green Bay
Raiders?
got Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones went to the Vikings.
Yeah. So I mean, it's we got some running backs we'll be facing this year, man, between the AFC South and of course, I'm sorry, the AFC West, and of course, man, we're looking at the NFC East. We're gonna see some, man. The Cowboys still got to do their thing with their running game because they lost Tony Pollard.
Yeah, and we got a lot of holes to fill, bro. We got a lot of holes to fill. We got our work cut
Right.
out. But you uh Michael Thomas, he went on his Twitter rant. Uh for whatever reason, Tyrann Matthew, he felt the need to get on Twitter and get some stuff off his chest subliminally. Um, he was saying how he could come on there and just talk his shit or whatever, but he already learned his lesson from that. And it seemed like he was just tired of people, talking about the team, and he was just trying to like defend the team and defend the players or whatever. And you had mentioned something about Dennis Allen going to turn pit bulls into chihuahuas or something like that, and somebody else said that, and he tweeted them. And he was like, "You got us fucked up." And I don't know. I feel like Tyrann, he goes about things different than Mike. Mike, both of them are professionals, but Mike, he wear his emotions on his sleeve and his heart on his sleeve. Tyrann, he kind of like, I ain't gonna say he a yes man, but he just gonna keep his head down and do the work. But what do you feel like that whole little rant with Tyrann went? I ain't gonna say it's a rant, but him just getting his emotions off his chest on Twitter. How do you feel about that? If you even seen it or paid attention to it?
Yeah, I seen it, man, and I seen what Badger said, and thankfully he, because I think he wound up blocking whoever said that, man, like afterwards or whatever. I think he wound up blocking him or something like that. But I made a similar comment. What I told him was, I respect his comment because you lose dogs, you bring in dogs. That's how it's supposed to go. It
Yeah.
just depends on what kind you bringing in. If you bring it in a room full of cocker spaniels, you can't put that in a room full of pit bulls. You got to bring in the right kind of dogs. And I think that was more or less my point. Not that the current dogs on the roster is Chihuahuas, and I think that's where Badger was coming from when he made that comment. Like he basically telling people, man, look, don't get it twisted because the outcome wasn't what y'all thought. We did some real dogs up in here. Like ain't no back down up in us. Now we didn't get the results we wanted, but it wasn't because we wasn't out there fighting. And truthfully, man, I agree with him because by right they should have folded on Dennis Allen by week 6, and they didn't. They
Mhm.
kept as fans we kept on saying, oh, this is gonna be the week they quit on him. This is gonna be the week they quit on him. This is gonna be the week they quit on him. Well, that week never came.
Mhm.
They played to the bitter end, and had it not been for a game here and there, if for as bad as they looked throughout the season, they might have made the playoffs. Now, granted, it helps that towards the end of the season you played like 4 or 5 of the weakest teams in the NFL, so it was easy, like you got a little bit of boost. But I mean, defensively, they do what they got to.
Are they playing for Dennis Allen, or are they playing for their pride, respect, and themselves?
Oh yeah, that's definitely it's the latter. They definitely not playing for Dennis Allen. I think he's a catalyst in it because again, Dennis Allen, the head coach, jackass. Then Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, brilliant mind. So I mean, I think it's a little bit of it's a little bit of them playing for pride, them playing for each other, them playing for the fact that other teams are watching. So that's how you're able to get a contract if you're Jameis Winston when other teams are watching how you handle business. Some people said Jameis wouldn't get a contract because teams would be turned off by that move. Not so much. Maybe teams looked at it and was like, you know what? I don't mind having a dude that's gonna fight for his teammates.
All right.
So I mean, it could go either way. Tyron is a dude that fight for his teammates. That's why he's respected the way he is.
Right. Uh, I made a comment on Twitter, kind of like went viral a little bit in Saints Twitter because Alante Taylor responded. I said, since May is released, and if we don't bring, depending on what we do with Sean, should we play Alante at safety? And he basically responded and said, nah. Right after that, like the very next day, all these safeties just coming up on the market. Like, they treating
Mm-hmm.
safeties like orphans and refugees. Like they just getting treated like they like the running back on defense now.
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel about the market when it comes to the safety nowadays and the way they are viewed? And like, what do you think is in store for Alante Taylor?
Well, as far as the safety market is concerned, man, I definitely think it's been devalued. But there's a reason for it. Whenever the NFL shifts, and right now everybody's kind of trying to play that Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay system. So you're not seeing a lot of 20, 30 yard bombs down the field, 7 times a game like we used to see, like, when the Saints was trying to, 2011 through maybe what, 2013, they were trying to just attack down the field. They was going to stretch the field no matter what. Well, what you needed was a good free safety. That's why Earl Thomas was able to make his money. Great free safety. That's why I do like Marcus Williams came in and was able to kind of ball out quick as a rookie because he was a free safety that could erase, that back end. Well, when teams started shifting most of this Kyle Shanahan offense, well, you're not going to have as many downfield tries. Most teams, back then would have about maybe 7 or 8 bombs a game. Now that number's changed to maybe 4 or 5. So it diminishes the role of the safety too. Now you need a safety that can basically be like another cornerback, like a slot corner. It's a little bit different. The Saints like to play open and close safeties. They don't want to technically designate who's the free, who's the strong. They need you to be able to kind of play both of them. So for Marcus May, he couldn't adjust to that as well as he should have. For Honey Badger, he can. So I think that the position is getting devalued definitely, but that's because of the shift in the NFL philosophy. As far as Alante is concerned, first of all, Tay can't play safety. I think he's better as a boundary corner, and I think that's what he's going to be. I think Marshawn being moved out is because they believe in Alante. They can play him in a slot, but they let the slot corner go. So you let them go out there, man. They let Yadam go. That would have been a perfect opportunity for you to have him, play slot or whatever like that. Apparently, they're gonna let Alante play on the outside. They're gonna put him across from Paulson. They're gonna see what happens because for as much as we all love Sean, and I agree with you, he is hands down the best cornerback the Saints have ever had. They played a whole lot of time without him, and sometimes people get comfortable when you're not around. I read a quote one time, bro, and it said, if somebody doesn't appreciate your presence, make them appreciate your absence. And I think what happens is the flip side that could happen too. When you absent a lot, sometimes people forget that you even be present. And I think with Marshawn, because he's been injured a little bit, they kind of was like, you know what? For as bad as things may have looked, we played pretty well without him. So why the hell are we gonna keep paying him 17, 18, 19 mil per season when we got Alante on a rookie contract who can play just as good as him, or Paulson who can play just as good as him, and we'll make Alante CB2? I mean, it's hard to argue because the proof is already in the numbers. They've proven they can play without Marshawn. Are they a better team when he plays? Absolutely. But can they play without him? The answer is yes.
Yeah, and you also couple that with, okay, just what if we hit on a pass rusher? Then how would our defense look?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have much shine. Plus, they already brought in Maddox. He's been a little injury prone, but by them leaving, by them letting Isaac walk and them bringing in Maddox, what that tell you?
They tell me they're gonna play Madison in the slot and they're gonna put Alante outside. They're gonna let Marshawn go ahead on and go. And like I said, at this point, the way the market is looking, the Saints will be lucky if they get a second and a fifth, maybe a third and a fifth for him, the way the market is playing out. But if that's what you do, then I mean that kind of gives you the ability to gamble a little bit more, but you're not gonna get it until next year. Unless they trade in player for player, and I just don't see that happening because that accelerates his cap hit.
Are we doing what the Bucks did last year, saving our money like with the cap and just like trying to like not go too crazy, or is guys just like kind of like adamant on not trying to play with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, or is it a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. First of all, let me say I don't think the Saints are saving money. I don't think that's happening because if they want to save money, they stop doing all these goofy ass restructures because you're restructuring certain people that you really should be getting rid of at this point. Like I love Cam. I think Cam is going to be an all-time Saint. I hope he retires a Saint. I hope he break every possible defensive record you could break as a Saint. It's time for Cam to go. If it ain't that time, then he damn sure knocking on the door. So it's close for you shouldn't be restructuring the Cam Jordan. You shouldn't be restructuring a Ryan Ramsey with his knee condition being the way that it is. There are certain players you just shouldn't be doing it to. Taysom Hill is another dude I don't think they should restructure unless you're gonna restructure him to a point to where you're doing these newfound contracts to where it's essentially a 1 year deal, and next year you're gone. Kind of like what they did with Mike and what they just did with Marshawn. That's the only way I can see them doing a restructure moving forward. So does Ramchick contract kind of play into that mode? Of course it does. But I'm not cool with the restructures if you want to save money. Let it play out, clean your cap up. Like at some point you're gonna have to pay your credit card bill, even if your credit limit keep going up. And that's where the Saints are right now. They banking on that, kind of the cap went up 30 mil this year. If it go up another 30 mil next year, we're in good shape. Well, yeah, but at some point, no matter how much your credit limit increases, you have to pay your credit card,
Right.
and eventually the Saints gonna have to pay for it. They have to pay for their sins.
What team will Hunter Renfro be playing with next season?
Oh man, don't give me the line, man, because I swear, bro, I'm waiting on a notification now that say Hunter went for signing with the Saints, and they could use a veteran receiver, possession receiver, because they got rid of Mike. And how fitting is it that what number Hunter Renfro wear?
I forgot what it is.
13.
Oh yeah,
wouldn't it wouldn't
that's
it
not
be
go- that's
wouldn't it
not.
be though?
I don't think that'll happen though. But I don't know, dog. Under this new regime with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, man, them people be doing what they want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But wouldn't it be crazy to say, you know what, we got rid of Mike and we're gonna give his number to, the dude we wanted to bring in anyway. That just that
Last
sounds
season,
like Dennis.
I wanted to bring him in before we started the season, but I thought he could help in the red zone because I know Derek Carr was bad in the red zone, and I just wanted Derek Carr to have a good red zone target. But this was before the season. This one I was just all in. I said, okay, well, Dennis Allen got the guy he want. Let me give him a chance. Now this season, I got a whole different mindset. Like after that Vikings
Yeah.
game, I just had an epiphany with the team, and I just wanted to lose so I could get Dennis Allen up out of here. But that's just me. I'm probably in the minority, but that's just me. But they got Hunter Renfro out there, but would you rather Odell?
No, not me. Not
Okay.
me. Like, look, I mean, I know Juice came out and basically said the same thing Mike been saying. Like, the Saints looking for yes men, and that ain't me. Even when I asked them what could I do to improve, they basically shitted on him, is what he said. So, I mean, I know Juice is a different story than Odell. Odell would be here for vibes. That's it. You already have 6 foot receivers that can get down the field and stretch the field. That's not what you need. You either need a possession receiver, which Odell is not, or you need a big body receiver, which you are kind of having A.T. Perry, but you can always bring in another guy. I think Hunter Renfro is a shorter version of what Adam Thielen would have been in his offense. A possession dude that's gonna get open, move the sticks, knows how to play smart football, knows where the holes at in the zone. I'm not opposed to him. I'm just not about to salute it either because the New Orleans Raiders is just not something I'm trying to support.
Yeah. Do you think we land Chase Young?
I think by Carolina signing the dude they just signed, I think it's either the Saints or the Titans. And I would say this. Do I think so? I think it's 60-40 at this point because last year, I thought they had Clowney, and then the Titans gave him a contract the Saints wasn't going to match. And that's what the name of the game is right now. How much money are you willing to take? Because the Saints not trying to hand out big contracts right now, and they can't. Not that they don't want to, they can't.
Mm. Well, is there any free agent on the market besides Armstead that you would like us to go after?
Justin Simmons.
Yeah, Justin Simmons. He'll be a nice little addition right there. I think that's everybody
Yeah.
prized possession right now. Ever since Hunter was off the board, and a lot of these other guys. I think that, and it's ironic that he plays safety. You
Yeah.
know, you think he's going to get a big bag?
No, I don't. I don't because the safety position has been so devalued that I don't think any of them will get it. I think sometimes teams want to shift the market. They did it with running backs. They made running backs basically say you're devalued, and when we pay you, we're not gonna pay you what you should be getting. Very few of y'all gonna get good money. The rest of y'all not. And that's kind of the way they went about it. I think they're doing the same thing with safety. So do I think Justin Simmons gonna get a big bag? No, I don't. But I think maybe he can get himself a nice little security or whatever like that when it comes to his money or whatever like that. Like maybe he gets a 2 year deal instead of a 1 year prove it or whatever they call it, man. So maybe he gets that. I think he's young enough. I don't trust Howden enough to just put him in that spot. And if you listen to Honey Badger, his interview or whatever like that, they asked him about Howden. He was like, yeah, he was all right, but he could have been better. Well, that's exactly what it is. Howden is okay, but you can find better. Justin Simmons is better.
Do you think certain players are just transcending, like they could have just got the bag in any era, like by the safety position being so devalued? You think that Ed Reed or Palomano, if they was to hit the free agent market right now in their prime, you think they would still get that same big type of bag like back
Yes.
then?
Yes, I think certain. I think there's. It's in any position group. There are certain players who gonna transcend, whatever it is that's going on, and everybody else gonna fall in after that. When Kamara got his money, Saints wasn't really paying running backs. Saquon just got a little bit. Christian McCaffrey got his, but certain running backs will get money, others
Right.
will not, and that's just the nature of every position. Certain quarterbacks gonna get paid top dollar, other ones won't. That just that goes for any position. So yeah, I think Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu definitely would have been caked up.
Okay. Let's get to the division real quick. The Buccaneers, they got rid of Carlton Davis, Devin White. He's finally up out of there, but they did re-sign Baker. They did re-sign um Mike Evans. You got Kurt Chains. He's up there in Atlanta. You got the Panthers. They had made a plethora of signings, but they also lost Brian Burns. They also lost Louisville. Like, what do you make of the division going into next season?
Sometimes you get lucky, and there's always the old saying, it's better to be lucky than good. The Saints are lucky to be in the NFC South and not in a better division because what Carolina is doing, you think they make good moves, and then you realize that last year somebody offered them 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns, and they turned it down, only to get a second and a fifth for him this year or something like. I'm like, okay, y'all stupid. Then you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's like for as much as we look at Dennis Allen on the hot seat, so is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach. You know what I'm saying? Like he's also on the hot seat, very similar to it. Baker saved his ass. Now, can Baker do what he can he duplicate it now that he got his money? We'll see. I don't necessarily. I'm not gonna bet against him, but I don't know. The NFC South is so stupid right now, bro. Like you could really just basically do any, mini, miny, mo, and whoever you land on has a realistic chance to win a division. It's not gonna take much because these teams are just gonna be sorry all year. Although I will say it's kind of hard to watch the division feel like it's getting a little bit better, and you don't really see the same thing from the Saints right now.
Who do you think will be our biggest threat?
Atlanta.
Why?
Simply because I think Atlanta doesn't care anymore. Like they basically pull a move like the Saints did. They pushed all their chips in the middle of the table and said, man, we going for it. We ain't waiting. The division is right there for the taking. We're gonna go for it. We're gonna go get us a top dollar quarterback. As long as he comes back healthy, we know he can get us. He can play well enough. Because if we can beat the Saints with Desmond Ritter, we can beat the Saints with Kirk Cousins.
Right.
And and I think defensively they have talent, offensively they have talent. So it's just a matter of putting it all together. And I think Raheem Morris is going to kind of come in with that Pete Carroll type of energy. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody young, not too far removed from the players, but energetic and stuff like that. I don't think he's going to be a great coach. I just think he's going to be energizing enough to make people believe in him. And that could be a dangerous thing. Belief is a crazy thing, bro. And I think Atlanta is going to believe in Raheem Morris. They're going to believe in the fact that, you can see Arthur Blank opening up the checkbook and saying, look, go get whatever you need to win. And let's go. And I think that's what's happening right now with the Falcons. They basically pushing all their chips in and saying, man, let's go try to win one.
So they basically out the runnings from the Jaden Daniels sweepstakes, you think?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I could still see them double back for a quarterback simply because I think, but like Kirk Cousins has that deal, but doesn't guarantee him anything long term. I think if they can get Jaden, they're gonna go for him. Now, do I think they will? No, but I think it's
Got Terry
very,
Fontenot over there too.
yeah. I don't think they will, but I definitely think it's possible because they still got. I don't think he's gonna last till 8. But that's just me. I think he's going in the top 3 picks.
Mm. Well, we're gonna see, man. He now one thing about it, he's not too mobile, so maybe Dennis Allen and the Saints brass over there on the defensive side of the ball saying, well, as long as he's not moved, we could get to his ass. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna go ahead on and get to the Pelicans, and before I let you go, we're gonna talk about the Pelicans for a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. But before I let you go and get to the Pelicans, give me one hot take about this Saints season that nobody really talking about that you could foresee might happen.
I take nobody really talking about. Uh, Man, that's a great question, bro. Um, I actually think the Saints can look like a better team and still not have a better record than they did last year. So it's crazy. It's crazy that it like they may
Basically
look
eight
like
and nine, but a fun 8 and 9.
yeah, like they could actually look good with it. And
Yeah.
the craziest part of that is that as long as they don't look like trash next year, Dennis Allen is back for another year. So I just want to prepare people for that, man. Because
Oh,
like they can be like what they won 9. They were 9-8 last year.
yeah.
I think Dennis Allen could go 8-9 again or 7-10. And as long as they look competitive and they got a scapegoat, like let's say Carl has to miss 2 games, and like, man, what you wanted me to do? You gave me, Nate Peterman and Jake Hayne as my backup. I couldn't win no games with them, so that's why we didn't make it. But all the rest of the games we look competitive. So if they lose to, let's say, the better teams, they lose to Philly, they lose to Kansas City, they lose to teams like that, but they lose a game like instead of it being a blowout, they lose the game 21-20 on the last second field goal.
Hmm.
All that's gonna do is make Dennis Allen look good. Like, okay, I told y'all we was close, even though the record don't prove it.
Oh man. That'll be the most
Torture,
nice thing ever, bro. That'll be
torture, bro.
ever. Well, a lot of people hoping that we could go on a Super Bowl run, but they got some fans who just have a fun season because last 2 seasons were just so boring and bland, bro. So I don't know, man.
Man, look, this is where I'm at with the Saints. I've always said I'm going to be a bandwagon fair weather fan until they get their shit together. But if they go 2-15 next year and the 2 wins is against Atlanta, that's a successful season to me. I'm good. I'll take it. Just
Shoot,
sweep Atlanta.
I just want Dennis Allen fired. Whatever can happen to get Dennis Allen fired, I'm fine with. Like when we first got Dennis Allen, I gave the man a chance. When we first got Derek Carr, I gave the man a chance. Like, I even said, well, they was with the Raiders, they could come to this organization, they could change their ways, they could find themselves, it could be a change of scenery. I was just all on board. But after that Minnesota game, I lost something clicked in my head. And I said, man, we ain't going nowhere with this dude. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
I want this dude fired. And I just been seeing the Chargers. I've been seeing the Raiders. I just been seeing the Falcons. They done fired their coach, and I just know they fans just got so much optimism. But one thing I don't have anymore is optimism, and I feel optimism. But one thing I feel like as a fan, you need more than anything is hope. And with Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, I feel like I have no hope. We have no hope to get the main goal, and the main goal is to win the Super Bowl. I don't care about winning a crappy division. Like, to me, when Sean Payton left, he said the division is not enough. I don't want to hang
Hmm.
my head on, oh well, at least we beat the Falcons, or well, at least we won the division and made the playoffs. Like that's not the type of moral victory I want.
No, man, the division ain't good enough. Like Dennis Allen, he would have to make the playoffs for me to even believe in him. And he would have to make a deep playoff run for me to feel like he actually has the ability to win one. Like if he can make it to the second round of the playoffs, I believe in him.
All right.
But I don't think he can do it. I don't believe in him. I don't believe in Carl. I just don't see it happening like that. They got to show it to me.
Mm.
And I mean, he got 17 weeks to prove it. I'm telling you, I got a feeling by week 6 we'll be checked out.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But by week 6, week 2-4, and Mickey Lomas, he my last hope that I could just hope that he get this man fired instead of just doubling down and just turning his nose up at the fans. But we're gonna see, man. But let's go ahead on and talk about the Pelicans before I let you get up out of here, man. Like, how do you feel about the Pelican season so far since we last spoke? Brandon Ingram and Zion, they finally looking healthy. Everything is looking good for us, man. Like, everybody just want to see how this team gonna do in the playoffs. What do you feel about the Pelican season so far?
I love it so far, man. Don't get me wrong. The problem that I'm having is that it seems like whenever they play the good teams, they kind of, I don't know, it's almost like they shell shock. Like we can beat up on teams that are our level, we can beat up on teams that are lower than us. But whenever we play a game, we got to step our game up. It seemed like that's when they kind of fall apart. Like last night against Cleveland. Don't get me wrong, you had a 4-game win streak. Cleveland is a really good team. They third in the East for a reason. They legit. But it always seems like it's a Cleveland, or it always seems like it's a Denver, or it always seems like it's a somebody who that top 4 on each side of the conference, on each side of each conference, that whenever you play one of those teams, you fold. And I need to see them actually do it, because that's what you at. That's where you at now. You are in the upper echelon. You are top 5 in the West. That's where you are. That means you got to play like you top 5 in the West. So eventually, you're going to play Denver. You're gonna have to beat them at some point. You're gonna have to play the Sacramento's, the Oklahoma Cities, and stuff like that. You got to play them. The Minnesotas, you got to play them, and you got to win. So at some point, pick a time, go for it, and show that you can compete with these dudes. When they played Miami, they got bullied a little bit. You can't let that happen.
Is there anything this team is missing, or you think it's just all mentality and all Willie Green's rotations?
I think they are missing something, but they won't be able to get it now. They still missing a point guard. You know, Jose, I love him. Energy dude, CJ, I love him. Good veteran guy. Neither one of them are a true point guard. And because they don't have a true point guard, look, I don't want Chris Paul. But Lord in heaven knows, if they had Chris Paul right now, this team would be very different, because they would have a true floor general that's all he want to do is play point guard. He don't need to go out there and score 30 points a game, but he has the ability to if he have to. He don't need to go out there and do no more than what he is. He is a floor general, and that's what they're missing. If they had a true point guard, the Pelicans would probably be unstoppable. And maybe, just maybe, when Jonas comes out of the game, a big man that can still stretch the floor a little bit. Kind of like play the roll up with the stretch 5 these days. Kind of I can shoot from the outside. You can do a little bit, but I'm gonna get you some rebounds, play some good defense, and it doesn't have to be much because you got Jonas that's gonna come back in and eat up minutes too.
Um, what's 3 things that you feel like this team just need to accomplish to make a deep playoff run once we get to the playoffs?
You got to stay healthy. That's first and foremost. You gotta find your inner bully. You can't let these teams come punk you around and stuff like that, man. And do that. And you got to be able to weather the storm, because for some reason it seems like the Pelicans, whether they got to lead and they up by 20 or whether they down by 20, you got to be able to weather that. You handle that with the same amount of emotion. Up 20, down 20, we gonna grind. And sometimes I think when they get up 20, they're a little too high. When they get down 20, they're a little too low. Not understanding that you can come back from a 20-point deficit in the NBA. You just got to play good ball and lock down on defense. Luckily for them, their defense is getting a hell of a lot better, and hopefully they're starting to understand. Because right now the Pelicans just puppies, man. They don't know what they're doing out there. They pups. So if they could ever find that inner dog, it's about to be lights out for the league. And it's slowly but surely coming. But a part of their problem is a little bit of a part of the Saints' problem. Their coaches are too bland. I don't have a problem with Willie, per se, but he's a bland dude.
Before I let you get up out of here, just like the Saints, give me a hot take nobody talking about regarding the Pelicans.
The Pelicans are a better team when Larry Nance minutes are cut.
Hmm.
Play Zion more at the five. Put Herb and Trey out there, man, and let them, let them go do what they do. But the Pelicans are a better team when Larry Lance doesn't control a lot of minutes. I think Willie gonna have to shorten his rotation. I know he loved Larry, he loved the versatility. Cut down on Larry minutes, play your starters a little bit more, and give Hawk more minutes. Because you need another shooter. You can't just have Trey out there as your only shooter. So I think that's what it is. The Pelicans are actually better when Larry don't play as much because I like to see more of Zion at the five and then play a little bit more small ball.
Mm. Yeah, man. We're gonna have to see with the Pelicans, bro. Like Dennis Allen, I hate him, but Willie Green, I'm still on the fence with him. I'm still giving him a little bit more time because this is actually his first time coaching a team that was actually pretty relatively healthy throughout the year. So he got a little bit more leeway. But if he's not the guy, then we're gonna have to move on too. But I give him a good season or two extra leeway. But we're gonna see, bro. We're gonna see. But I can tell you one thing: that's like the only team in New Orleans right now that I got some type of hope for is the New Orleans Pelicans. But man, thanks for coming on the show, Brian, bro. Thanks for taking out your time to come to the show, bro. We had a whole lot to cover up, and as always, bro, you you knocked out everything just effortlessly, bro. Like,
Appreciate you, brother, man. Look, my apologies to you, bro, because we should have knocked this interview out way earlier than what we did, man. That's my fault. I was on the road a little bit, so I couldn't really kind of settle in like I wanted to. But man, I told you, bro, I'm always a phone call away, family. I got you.
yeah, I mean, it's cool. It kind of like played out good because everything kind of built up for us to have a whole
Yeah.
lot of topics to get through. So it's kind of cool, like to do an interview like here and there versus just back to back to back. Well, we talked about something, but now we talking about the same thing because it was just so recent. But yeah, we definitely gonna have some more to talk about once free agency finish up and just leading up to more to the draft.
I'm here whenever you need me, fam. I ain't number the phone call away for you, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on the show again.
What's up?
I'll post
Salute.
this tomorrow, and we're gonna make it do what it do, bro. All
That's what's up, brother. You know what it is.
right, for sure.